All right, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Wakar Kodash. I want to say and give double honors to the apostles and the bishop elders, a great millstone, for teaching us His word in truth and sincerity, and for ruling well. Citations to my fellow Akim, the hopeful elect. Lord willing, we are of the elect. We are some of those men and women that fear and are patiently waiting for Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, to redeem us in that day of salvation. Hey, I'm the brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii, coming to you with another quick lesson. And this lesson was inspired by two things. It was inspired by Salakia. This lesson was inspired by two things. It was inspired by this video, well, actually three. It was inspired by this video that Elder Yashawama posted up yesterday, almost 24 hours ago, entitled Reply, it's a the Lord gives us what we need, not what we want. And me and the brother Kahan, after camp last night, we were having a me and the brother Kahan, we were having a conversation after camp, fellowshipping, and we were talking about that. And what inspired that conversation was a video Elder Yashawamba, Elder Ariala, and most importantly Elder Salakia, Apostle Elder Wakar was having. They had a live show yesterday, and they had briefly spoke about this topic, and then the Zaquan brought it out in that video, or the Zaquanian brought it out in that video and whatnot, and it hit home, right? It hit home because we can all fall into that spirit of ungratefulness, and I myself, I pray and I ask Yahweh Shai forgiveness for being ungrateful at times. Not realizing that we have everything we need to accomplish our mission, right? We don't need no more, right? We shouldn't want no more than that, because we're on a mission, right? We're in this flesh, and this flesh constantly wants to be satiated, and the flesh constantly wants to be appeased, and that happens through the eyes. We got the internet, we have YouTube, you got different websites and whatnot, and you're looking at all this shit and you think that you want it. This world teaches you to want more than you need, right? That's exactly what it is. I think that's what I'll tie to this lesson. The world teaches you to want more than you need, right? You have a house, you have an apartment, your rent's paid, your mortgage is paid, your insurance is paid, but the world teaches you that you got to constantly want more and more and more. You notice these women, that's what they want. They can never be satisfied. They constantly want more. They got attitudes. They wake up angry. They leave. They go to sleep horny. They wake up. They're just all over the place, man. When you got a woman, you'll constantly be in a situation where you feel like it's never enough, right? You give a woman everything, which you should never give a woman everything. But men have given women everything, only for the woman to turn their back on them to go to somebody that's lesser. And it's the same thing Israel did to the Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. It's the same thing we did to our power. Yahweh Bashim Shah gave us everything, and then we went to something that could give us nothing, right? We dealt with these idols of these other nations, and then that led us down a path of destruction and exile from our power because of our ungratefulness, right? Because of our ungratefulness, man. Again, this world teaches you to want more than you need, right? And you should not do that, and these are sobering. When we watch videos like these, they're extremely sobering. And Salakia for my rant, but you got to remember that, we got to be sober-minded in this thing. Real quick, I'm going to get this, I'm going to open up with this precept right here. I don't know what happened up there. Contentment. Right? Yeah. This is the book of 1 Timothy. Chapter 6, verse 6. Yep. But godliness with contentment is great gain, right? Because you got people that believe that gain is godliness in this world. The more you gain, the more godly you're supposed to be, according to these people. That's what Israel responds to, right? Israel responds to a man that has riches and all of this shit that they can only dream and imagine about and fantasize about, and they think that the Lord is dealing with that man or woman, but that's not the truth. Right? It says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. In the NLT it says, yet true godliness is with contentment is itself great wealth. being content with the things that we have. Because all the stuff you're trying to gather up, you ain't gonna leave it. You ain't gonna do nothing but leave it to somebody that's lesser than you, right? Those megalomaniac Montezorianites, those what they call Egyptians today, those pharaohs, right? They were so megalomaniacal that they took all their wealth with them, or a great portion of their wealth with them, to the grave. Like that was going to help usher them into the afterlife, or that they were going to be able to use those things in the afterlife. And it did nothing but leave a spot for grave robbers to take that shit, right? Or Esau, hundreds of years or 1,000 years later, he fall onto the hole and take it, and now he got it in his library somewhere. Those pharaohs, that shit left. As the scripture says in verse 7, for we brought nothing into this world, and it's certain that we can carry nothing out. Exactly. And the heathens, they thought that they could carry out their wealth, their prestige. They even had their slaves die with them. These fucking Montezorianites, you dig open the sarcophagus, and the slaves are dead there too, man. Slaves, cows, all that shit is dead in there with them. Committed murder, just so they could feel comfort in the afterlife, and that you don't need all that to feel comfort in the afterlife. The afterlife is a different, is comfortable and is beautiful in itself. So you don't need that. Okay? So again, it says, for we brought nothing into this world, and it's certain that we can carry nothing out. After it says in the NLT, after all, we brought nothing with us when we came into the world. And that, a lot of people forget that. Everything that we had when we came into this world was provided to us by Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. That includes the nutrients, the nourishment that was in your mother for you to be gestated in her womb. And even when you get out, right, you got the breast milk, right? The babies don't need no, you ain't come out of the womb with a ham sandwich, which we don't eat no fucking ham. I'm just saying that, just, you know, it's a little light on it, but we didn't come out of the womb with a lamb sandwich, right? We didn't come out with a lunch box. You know, back in the 80s, you know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. You had the lunch box with the sandwich in it, and then they had the mug for the juice or whatever your mom gave you to drink, to swallow that choke sandwich down. All right, Salakia. So again, the Lord gave us, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua gave us everything we need, even in the body. Even within the body, if you take care of it. You know, I had a beautiful conversation with Elder Yashawamba, and we were talking about that briefly, you know what I mean? And, you know, the things, if you take care of the things that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua provides for us, it'll last you a long time. You don't really need nothing extra. But this world, for some odd reason, this world constantly puts out, you need to do this, you need to do that. And that's only because they're profiteering off of your wants. This world profiteers off your wants, off the flesh, right? The lust of the eyes, right? You get a car that's good in 2020, but then 2021 comes, and next thing you know, they got a whole brand new model, and they really didn't change nothing but the color or maybe some intricacies within the vehicle, right? Or maybe a little bit of aesthetics outside the vehicle. It's still the same vehicle, but because this world, they have something called planned obsolescence. Basically, they plan within the invention. At a certain point, you're going to have to get a new one, or at a certain point, something critical to that thing, that object, will go out, and you have to replace it because they planned it already. Versus planning for the long haul, like back in the 50s and in the 40s when they had vehicles. Back in the 50s and in the 40s when they had vehicles, them vehicles would last decades. You know what I'm saying? Those vehicles would last you decades. Salakia. Yeah, those vehicles will last you decades, and that's why even in Cuba, right, they still riding around in 1950s versions of cars, right? Not only because of the embargoes, but because them shit still work, bruh. They might have changed the engine out or upgraded the engine, but for the most part, the vehicle still lasts. And Esau moved away from that because these different corporations, they wanted to keep making profits, and they wanted to be profitable. So what they did was they give you substandard equipment, right, or substandard products, so that you can keep coming back wanting more. Is you keep wanting more. It's like a high. It's like a coke high. I ain't never did coke, but I know a lot of people that did it in the world. You know, I know a lot of dudes that sold that shit, and people, once they get that high, They got to keep coming back, right? Because they keep wanting it. It does something to the mind, right? This world does something to your spirit and mind, right? To make you constantly want more and thinking that what you have is not valuable. But in reality, it is. So again, 1 Timothy 6:6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. Verse 8, and having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. In the NLT it says, verse 7 through 8, after all, we brought nothing with us when we came into the world, and we can't take anything with us when we leave it. So if we have enough food and clothing, let us be content. Let us be content, right? Because all we need is our daily bread. Hey, Apostle Gabar, all the apostles, but I know for a fact Apostle Gabar, he's big on this topic and subject. You know what I mean? Your daily bread, that's all you need, right? You got a crib, don't matter how long you've been in it, your bills paid, your rent paid. Salakia. Yeah, you gotta again, you have your bills paid on time, right? You ain't lacking anything. You got what you need. And a lot of times, people, us brothers, I don't want to talk about people, but us brothers, we can fall into that rut and not realize it. And so in this video right here, Elder Yashawamba is going through, giving a great example of Jake in the wilderness, right? And so I just want to play a little bit excerpt from this, and then I'll get what I got off of ChatGPT, because you know, chat's a good resource at times when it's not being emotional to edify.
James 4:2, you want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. Okay? Coming up with different thoughts and accusations, putting demons on other brothers, and, murmuring. You're jealous of what others have, but you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take it away from them. And this can go on so many levels, man.
And that's what happens in this world. That's what you see. This whole world is about covetousness, wanting what somebody else has, not being satisfied with the Lord has provided for you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. This world teaches you to want another man's woman, right? You ain't satisfied with the woman that you have, not realizing that the woman that you may have is good for your station, right? Like these women that are walking around with a delusional mindset. They believe that they deserve what they deem as a high value man or a high earning man, but they've never had a high earning man. And their decision skills or the decision making that they made with the men that they do have, you can tell that they're not ready for a man like that, right? They don't understand the value of a high earning or a high value man. And we're the true high value man in this world is a man of the Lord. And that's another thing why we may not have certain women that you think you want or you think that you deserve. Why? Because these women, they don't deserve you, right? I was watching, I want to say, Friday, the elders in Dallas, and the brothers out there, they said, hey, when women get with us, they get upgraded. Elder Yashawamba said that. He said, you get with me, man, you're going to be upgraded. I don't know about these other brothers, but you're going to get updated. Which he was being, he was showing a little bit of, he was being a little funny. But the truth is, when any woman gets with us, brothers in this truth, they get elevated, whether they know it or not, right? Because we're on a different level. We're on a different spectrum in this world. And so here it is. It's the same thing when we with our power. When we connected to Yahweh Shem Shai, we upgraded. We're not downgraded. It may seem that way, but the scriptures tell you this, right? When you come to serve the Lord, this is the book of, what is it? Sirach, chapter 2. Sirach. I'm sorry. Just bear with me, brothers. Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, chapter 2. Verse, I'll start at 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in a time of trouble. Because when you come into this truth, you're gonna have to face a lot of trouble. You're gonna face a lot of hardships. You're gonna take a lot of L's. You're gonna lose a lot. But that's because you're being tried. So don't make haste in a time of trouble to retreat and go back into the world, or go back to what was comfortable for you, because you're being put into an uncomfortable place. It says cleave unto him, right? We cleave unto Yahweh Shema Shai, and we do that through the word, right? Through the knowledge and wisdom and understanding. And depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end, right? A lot of people, a lot of brothers or sisters come into this faith early on, and they go through this gauntlet of hell, and they retreat back into the world, and they don't wait to the Lord and give you that increase. And right when you fall out is right when the time the Lord was right about to give you that increase, and you dipped out or you fell away because you couldn't take it. You couldn't take being defamed. You couldn't take being demonized. You couldn't take losing. You couldn't take loss. You couldn't take the pain. And listen, man, everything we're going through right now in this world, we deserved it, right? All the judgment that we went through. And the Lord, Yahweh Shai, the water, that we not being condemned to the fullest that we could have been, or we not being judged to the fullest that he could have judged, that we truly deserve. You know what I'm saying? So let me keep on reading. So it says, whatsoever, verse 4, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take it cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. Because that's what happens, you know? You get into this truth, and you're being brought to a low estate. And so then you're looking around at the people in the world that are, what it says, prospering, right? The wicked, these are the wicked that prosper in the world. You see all these people prospering in the world. You're like, man, what am I doing wrong? Is something wrong with me? Oh, man, I wish I had this. I ain't got enough. I need more. I need more. Ask the Lord for a ton of things. The Lord said you have not because you ask not. And when you do ask, you ask amiss so that you can feel the lust of the flesh. A lot of times that's what it is. Jake be wanting to fulfill the lust of the flesh, and that's why you want more, and that's why you constantly are ungrateful at your situation. And being grateful is a beautiful trait. It is something we could all work on, and I start with myself first, right? I am grateful. I'm grateful for being in this truth and being able to understand it and hold on and teach others. That's a beautiful gift. Not everybody got that. Not everybody even ready for that, especially Israelite men. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be mindful of that. You got to be mindful, understand that, like, look, what the Lord has provided me is sufficient enough. It's more than sufficient. Or let me get that. Give me neither. Oh, shucks. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 30, verse 8. It says, remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me, lest I be full and deny thee, and say, who is the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai? Or lest I be poor and still and take the name of my power in vain. Right? So you had this money, you ain't looking for the Lord to deliver you. You get booked, catch a case. First thing you like, yo, you ready to hit the bondsman or call a lawyer to bail you out because you got those resources on hand. Versus if you had nothing, you had to wait on the Lord, and you had to endure that shit. You might not make bond, you might not make bail. You got to endure a couple days in the tombs, and then the Lord bring you out, and He bring you out better, with your faith intact, your integrity intact, and your faith even more stronger. Your faith reinforced, your integrity reinforced. You know what I'm saying? That's a great example of Proverbs 38 and 9. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me neither poverty. Because if you poor, you'll take the Lord's name in vain. Like, wait a minute, I'm serving the Lord, but I'm eating out the trash. That ain't fair. I don't understand. I thought I was a man of the Lord. Well, you're going to have just what you need. You're going to be in between. You're not going to be extremely wealthy. You're not going to be extremely poor. But you're going to experience both at a time, but you're going to really be in the middle. And that's really the greatest thing, because that's balance. You're balanced in life, right? The world is full of imbalance. And so much so that people will kill, steal, destroy to get something that somebody else have, or they believe in their corrupt mind is greater than what they already have. That includes positions, of power that include leadership, that includes women, family, housing, all the things this world teaches you need, right? You see somebody with $1 million house, you're like, damn, that house is nice. And it is. It really is nice. But guess what? Do you need it? Is it going to be sufficient for you? Is it expedient for you at the current state that you're currently in right now? Could you afford that and still be able to maintain your integrity? And 9 times out of 10, the answer to that question is no. No, you can't. You don't need no goddamn no Maserati or a damn Lamborghini Aventador, right? Because you just, all you looking at is the aesthetics and how it looks and what you think people is going to think of you when they see you in it. Not realizing the insurance costs, not realizing the accident costs, not realizing the cost of maintaining it and upkeep. And that's what really gets you. Not to mention the car loses value as soon as you drive it off the lot. The moment you drive that car off the lot, it's not worth $300,000 no more. You done put miles on it. You done scraped the damn rims. You done missed the oil change. So now the car's value is no more there. You'll get half of what it costs that you spent on it, and then you'll sell it to the dealership. The dealership turn around and charge full price for it, MSRP for it, or just a little under it. So they get more than you did. You see? It don't make no sense, right? So anyway, I wanted to bring this up, and I wanted to bring this up because I asked this question to ChatGPT, right? I asked, how did Yahweh feel when he saw how ungrateful the Israelites, or certain of them in the wilderness showed ungratefulness after he provided for them time after time again? How did the mixed multitude of heathens attribute to Israel's ungratefulness? Because it was twofold, right? Jake became ungrateful, right? Because they love Egypt, they love the food in Egypt, right? Elder Apostle Tahar mentions the probiotics that they was receiving up in there, the leeks, all of that stuff like that. But that place was completely corrupt, and it was a place of our captivity. And Jake wanted to go back. That shit didn't make no sense at all. Right here it is, the Lord was taking us to the land of milk and honey that was promised unto us. We were going to take over them Canaanites that was in the land and all the other nations that was in that land, right? And Jake got scared. Jake heard the report about how tall they are and how it took 2 men to carry, Salakia, brothers. So Israel became ungrateful, and Israel became murmurous, right? And that pissed the Lord off, because that's a lack of faith, right? That's a lack of faith. So anyway, it says, oh shit. I'm sorry, brothers. Anyway, it says, great question. Scripture gives us a pretty clear picture of how Yahweh felt toward Israel's ungratefulness in the wilderness, and how the mixed multitude influenced that spirit of discontent. Let me break it down in 2 parts. The first part, Yahweh's response to Israel's ungratefulness. Grieved and angry repeatedly, the Most High expressed anger when Israel murmured despite his miracles. Psalm 78 and 40 through 41 says, how oft did they provoke him in the wilderness and grieved him in the desert? Yeah, they turned back and tempted the Most High and limited the Holy One of Israel. Their complaining wasn't just about food or water. It was an act of disbelief, as though he had not proven his power through Egypt, the Red Sea, and daily manna. And Elder Yashimamba he explains that within that video that we just saw, right? So that disbelief is faithlessness, man. It's like, how much more you need? Nigga, I brought you up out of Egypt. I defended you against your enemies. Those that wanted to persecute you, I drowned in the fucking water. I drowned in the Red Sea. I drowned them. I killed them, including the Pharaoh. Don't let Yul Brynner and the 10 Commandments movie fool you, man. Pharaoh did not survive that. He died. In fact, his bones and the relics of their chariots are in the water to this day. Like the Brown Bomber said, to this day, you can find remnants of Pharaoh and his army in that water, in the Red Sea. So it says, testing and judgment. In Numbers 11, when the people lusted for flesh and rejected manna, Yahweh gave them quail in abundance, but with a plague attached, showing he saw their ingratitudes as rebellion and not just hunger. He saw the ingratitude. He saw the ungratefulness as it wasn't just about them being hungry. It brought rebellion, right? That rebellion, which is you fought against the Lord because you felt that it wasn't enough, right? The manna from heaven, that's the food of the angels. That has ingredients in it that you can never find on the earth. But Jake wasn't happy with that. The Lord told us to only take what we need and not take more than what we need and try to hide it up, right? And what Jake do? Jake took more than what they needed, put it up in the cabinets and whatnot, and it ended up rotting, right? And ended up spoiling. So the Lord could tell who had unbelief, who had faithlessness amongst Israel. You see? So it's like, you know, that spirit of ingratitude is evil in the sight of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. So it says, long suffering but just. Though he often punished, he also showed mercy. Nehemiah 9:17 reminds us, but thou art a God ready to pardon, gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and great in kindness, and forsookest them not. So his feelings balanced. Remember, because the Most High, he hates imbalance. Your unjust weight is an abomination to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. So the Lord will judge you, but he's merciful. The Lord will convict you, but he'll pardon. Right? It's balance. It says his feelings balance between righteousness. His feelings balance between righteous anger, and their lack of faith and compassion to still guide them. The role of the mixed multitude, source of complaints. And that's what it was. The complaints came from them first. And they sowed that seed of doubt and faithlessness because the Lord wasn't dealing with them. They were slaves. They were human capital for us in the wilderness. So let's read. A source of complaint. Numbers 11:4 points out, and the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again. This shows that the outsiders, Egyptians and others who left with Israel, stirred up cravings and dissatisfactions first. And that's why the Lord wants us to be separate from these people, bro. Because the heathen are extremely faithless. They don't have faith. The Lord ain't dealing with them. I was telling Elder Yashwama, we were talking, a great example was like how these heathen, they hoard up shit. You ever notice how the heathen, they'll hoard resources to themselves over and over again because they don't have faith that they'll make it to the next day. They don't have a God that will give them and provide for them daily, right? They don't have a God, period. Their gods are idols, some shit that they just created out of some smoked out, choked out, coked out head of a heathen. And he just created something, and now you think that that's your God. I saw a video of these fucking East Indians, they'll worship anything. I saw a video, they was worshiping condensation from a fucking air conditioned vent, right? Then they were worshiping a balloon. Motherfucking woman was crying because a pink balloon was floating in front of her. That's completely off. But that's how the heathen get down. It says this shows that outsiders, Egyptians and others who left with Israel stirred up cravings and dissatisfaction first. Let's go to that. Numbers 11:4. I'll start at 1. Numbers 11:1. It says the people complain. And when the people complain, it displeased Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai heard it. And his anger was kindled, and the fire of Yahweh burned among them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And it says, And it says, and the people cried unto Moses, and when Moses prayed unto Yahweh, the fire was quenched. And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of Yahweh burnt among them. And in the mixed multitude, and in the mixed multitude was a multitude that was among them, fell lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again, and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? In the NLT it says, then the foreign rabble who were traveling with the Israelites began to crave the good things of Egypt. And the peoples of Israel also began to complain. Oh, for some meat, they exclaimed. And it says, verse 5, we remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There is nothing at all beside the manna before our eyes. So see, fucking heathen, these motherfuckers, they were reminiscing about all of the good foods in ancient Egypt, right? And then Jake sitting amongst them and shit, and they commiserating and ungratefulness, and they're like, all we got is just manna, man. I miss those melons. I miss the garlic and the leeks and the meats and the fish and all that good stuff that we had readily available. Notwithstanding that the wilderness was supposed to be a temporary place. We weren't supposed to be in the wilderness 40 plus years or 40 years walking in circles. We were just there stationed for a moment until we get our armies together through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, and Moses put our armies in order, and we was going to take over them Canaanites, and we were going to go into a land that was way better than Egypt. Right? Just like today, Jake don't see themselves outside of this Egypt. They think America is the greatest it's going to get, the best it's going to be. And it's not. It's not at all. And we're going to go to a new wilderness, but it ain't going to be no 40 years. Absolutely fucking not. We're going to be made righteous 100%. Right? And these heathens ain't coming with us. Right? Everybody that's in America is going to die except for the elect. And the elect of Esau, which they're not even over here. They in the ground, and that's the ultra elite, super ultra elite that are living their life in these underground bunkers, space stations, and underwater cities and shit. But everything is going to be destroyed here. So it says, we remember in the NLT, we remember the fish we used to eat for free in Egypt, right? Because they had the Nile River right there. You could just grab whatever you wanted and it was available. And for free in Egypt. And we had all the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic we wanted. But now our appetites are gone. All we ever see is just manna. And in verse 7 in the KJV, and the manna was as coriander seed, and the color thereof as the color of bedlam. It says that in the NLT, the manna looked like small coriander seeds, and it was pale yellow like gum resin. It says, verse 8, and the people went about and gathered it and ground it in mills, or beat it into a mortar and baked it in pans and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was the taste of fresh oil. The people would go out and gather it from the ground. They made flour by grinding it with hand mills or pounding it in mortars. Then they boiled it in a pot and made it into flat cakes. These cakes tasted like pastries baked with olive oil. Verse 9, and when the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell upon it. So the Lord was providing for us over and over again, man. Every night we go to sleep, we wake up in the morning, bam, we got everything we needed. And you just make it, right? It was a good food that had all the nutrients that we needed. It wasn't made for, to be delicacies like in Egypt we had. And they started complaining about it. So let's go back to that. Let's go back to this. The role of the mixed multitude. It says, the source of complaints, Numbers 11 and 4 points out, and the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again. This shows that outsiders, Egyptians and others who left with Israel, stirred up cravings and dissatisfaction first. Their influence spread to the Israelites, right? Because faithlessness, doubt, doubting, which is faithlessness, rebellion, that shit is extremely contagious, and it spreads, right? It says stirs up cravings and dissatisfaction first. Their influence spread to the Israelites, igniting murmuring and rebellion, spiritual contamination. The mixed multitude didn't experience the same covenantal relationship, so their perspective was carnal. They longed for Egypt's food and comforts, fish, cucumbers, leeks, onions, and garlic, rather than trusting in Yahweh's provisions. That spirit of lust and discontentment infected Israel's mindset, and that's what happens in this world. And that's why we ought to be plugged into this truth as much as we can, and not look at the things in this world like that. Because you sit on YouTube looking at shit that you ain't got, that you want, and you'll be thrown into a spirit of discontentment. You're looking at everybody else in the world having fun on these social media platforms, TikTok, IG, Facebook, and shit, and you're looking at your situation, and all you're looking at is a picture. You don't know what it took for them people to get there. If these people did the right thing to get there, or these niggas just took a picture. Yeah, that's what it is. Niggas just took a picture or a short video, and automatically you assume their life is better than yours. They're not even in the truth. You see? Then you start murmuring against the truth, and you start thinking about the hell you catching and why you got to go through this, and this ain't fair, life ain't fair, and all this other shit. You see, you ain't supposed to be like that, right? That's the spirit of discontentment, and it affects the mindset of Israel. A pattern of influence. This foreshadowed later history. Whenever Israel mingled too much with the nations, corruption and turning away from the Most High followed. And that's why we separate from the world. We separate from the world of Israel. We separate from the heathens, right? That's exactly why. The Lord's making us holy, so that we won't be infected by these people in the world. You see? This foreshadowed later history. Whenever Israel mingled too much with the nations, corruption and turning away from the Most High followed. Judges 2:11 through 13, Nehemiah 13:3. Summary. Yahweh felt grieved and provoked by Israel's ungratefulness, seeing it was as unbelief, even after mighty deliverances. The mixed multitude acted like a spark inflaming Israel's weakness by stirring up lust and nostalgia for Egypt. Together, this showed how easily Israel could be swayed from faith when surrounded by unbelief. You know what I mean? And that's what that is. Ungratefulness, that spirit of ungratefulness, the spirit of corruption, all of that shit is the spirit of unbelief. And what the scriptures say in 2 Esdras 15, all the unfaithful shall die in that unfaithfulness. You see? Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai provides for us daily, and he gives it to us abundantly. And so we ought to always look at Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and be thankful. Don't let the world fool you, right? Don't let the world put you in a mindset that you want more than what you need, because what we need is sufficient for us. Everything we have is sufficient. It's sufficient for us in our battle in this world. It's sufficient for us and equipping us to get through our daily grind, right? Hey, with that, I'm gonna say shalom and on to the next. Hey, shalom.